The night sky above Earth was calm, filled with stars that had shined for millions of years. People across the world were asleep, dreaming quietly, never expecting that their lives would soon change forever. Then it happened. A sudden tear of light ripped through the heavens. It was not a meteor, not a storm, not anything humans had ever seen. It was as if the very fabric of space was being pulled apart. From that tear, a ship appeared, so massive that it made even the tallest mountains seem small. Its surface glowed, with alien metal, smooth and cold, and its engines burned with a strange blue fire. At first, humanity looked up in awe. Many thought it was a miracle, a gift from the stars. But awe quickly turned to fear. The ship was not here to bring peace. It came with power, arrogance, and the certainty of domination. The beings inside called themselves the Kartul. They were an ancient empire, older than human history itself. To them, Earth was nothing but another rock floating in space, full of resources to take and bodies to enslave. They had seen countless worlds before, and they had crushed every one of them. When they spoke, the world trembled. Their voices came through strange machines, echoing in every language. The words were sharp, commanding, filled with pride. Primitive species, they declared. Surrender your world. Kneel before the Kartul or be erased. The message was clear. Humanity was nothing to them. We were ants before giants, children holding sticks before an army of gods. They thought Earth would fall within hours. But Earth was not silent. Fear filled the hearts of billions, yes, but along with fear came something else. Anger. Humanity had been underestimated before, and always it had risen. Across history, humans had fought invaders, tyrants, and conquerors. Always, the spirit of survival burned bright. Leaders from every nation gathered within hours. The United Nations, once full of arguments and disagreements, became a place of unity. There were no sides, no borders, no rivalries anymore. The question was simple: surrender or fight. The answer came in a single voice, spoken not just by leaders but by ordinary people across the earth. This is our home. We will not kneel. We will fight. The reply was sent to the Kartul. It was short, it was brave, and it was filled with defiance. The aliens laughed. Their cold, hollow laughter shook the skies. To them, this was amusing. How could a species with no ships, no great weapons, no fleets in the stars dare to defy them? It was a joke, a final act of pride before extinction. And so the first attack began. The Kartul unleashed fire from the heavens. Beams of energy cut across the oceans, boiling the waters. Towers of light fell on cities, turning night into burning day. Across New York, Shanghai, Cairo, and countless other places, the ground shook with fury. The people screamed, but they did not run into hiding forever. Soldiers took to their positions. Pilots climbed into their jets, even knowing their chances were small. Submarines prepared their missiles. Engineers began hacking satellites, turning tools of communication into weapons of war. Every human heart beat with one truth: we will not die on our knees. In those first terrible days, humanity bled. Millions were lost. The skies were filled with smoke and fire. But something shocking happened. Something the Kartul had not expected. Humans fought back. Jets slammed into alien ships. Missiles cracked their armor. Even old weapons, things the Kartul thought laughable, drew blood. The so-called primitives did not break. They roared. They struck. And the galaxy would soon learn that Earth, small and fragile as it seemed, carried within it a force no empire could ever truly conquer. The first arrival of the Kartul was meant to be the end of humanity. Instead, it became the beginning of humanity's wrath. The first attack left Earth scarred. Smoke rose from shattered cities, oceans boiled with strange fire, and millions mourned the dead. Yet even in that darkness, humanity did not break. The Kartul had expected surrender, but what they saw was defiance. World leaders met again, their faces heavy with grief, but their voices steady with fire. Presidents, kings, generals, and ministers all stood side by side. Old enemies shook, Hands' old rivalries were forgotten. For the first time in history, humanity was one. This war is not for land, one leader said. It is not for power. It is for survival. And every head in that room nodded. The message to the stars was prepared. It was simple, clear, and without fear. To the cartel we say this: you will not have Earth. This is our home. Leave now, or face us. The message was broadcast across every screen, every radio, every satellite. The people of Earth heard it and their hearts lifted. They were no longer just victims. They were warriors. The cartel responded almost instantly. Their laughter echoed across the sky, a sound so cold that it froze blood in human veins. Primitive creatures, they mocked. You dare? You think your sticks and stones can harm us? You are nothing. You will be crushed and your world will burn. The aliens had crushed dozens of civilizations before. They believed this war was already won. But humans were different. Humans had always been different. From the smallest villages to the largest cities, people prepared for battle. Scientists worked day and night, turning old technology into weapons. Engineers rewired satellites, changing them from tools of communication to eyes of war. Factories never slept, their machines producing ammunition, drones, and armor. Soldiers, trained with fierce determination. Pilots volunteered even knowing the skies were deadly. Civilians dug shelters, carried supplies, and built defenses in every street. Humanity was not waiting to be saved. Humanity was preparing to save itself. First battles tested that resolve. Over the Atlantic Ocean, human jets flew in swarms, attacking alien ships that hovered like monsters above the waves. The aliens thought the planes would fall easily, but the pilots fought with everything they had. Some fired missiles, others rammed their jets into alien hulls, turning their own bodies into weapons. On land, armies clashed against machines that walked on four legs and fired beams of light. Tanks roared back, firing shells again and again until the ground shook. Soldiers crawled through ruins, planting explosives, ambushing enemy patrols, and striking from the shadows. In the seas, submarines rose from the deep, launching nuclear warheads that shattered alien carriers. Waves rose like mountains as burning wreckage sank beneath the water. Everywhere, the story was the same. The cartel struck with arrogance, but humans answered with fury. They had no fleets in the stars, no weapons of light, but they had courage. They had unity. They had the will to fight. And that will was more powerful than the aliens could imagine. The first alien commander grew frustrated. He had expected Earth to fall in hours. Instead, his armada was losing ships every day. His soldiers reported resistance at every corner, every city, every battlefield. He snarled at his council. They are primitives. Why do they not surrender? But he did not understand. Humanity had faced extinction before. Plagues, wars, disasters, and always, it had risen again. Surrender was not in their blood. Survival was. The more the cartel pressed, the more humanity hardened. Children painted signs saying, "We will not kneel." Families shared food with soldiers. Strangers became brothers in the face of fire. Primitive? Maybe. But behind those primitive weapons was something no empire could crush, the unbreakable spirit of humanity. And as the first weeks of war ended, one truth became clear. Earth would not bow. It would fight until the stars themselves burned out. The war had burned for weeks. Skies were black with smoke, cities lay in ruins, and oceans boiled with wreckage. Yet despite the destruction, humanity did not fall. The cartel had expected fear, but what they found was something far stronger: wrath. In the ashes of broken streets, resistance rose. Across every continent, humans struck back with whatever they had. The aliens called them desperate. The galaxy, watching from afar, called them doomed. But humans called it survival. The first great counterattack began in silence. A plan was drawn, not by one nation, but by all. Generals from rival armies sat at the same tables. Engineers from different countries worked side by side, and translators spoke in dozens of tongues, yet the message was one. Strike back now. The Kartul had made a mistake. They had spread their forces too thin, confident that humans could not touch them. They floated their ships above Earth's greatest cities, preparing to crush humanity's spirit once and for all. Instead, they painted targets on themselves. Night of the attack was clear. The moon hung pale over the Pacific as submarines rose quietly from the deep. Nuclear warheads were armed, their red lights blinking in the dark, far above satellites once used for weather reports and television, were turned into guided weapons. In hidden bases, jets waited, pilots gripping their controls with steady hands. Then the order came. Now, the seas erupted. Missiles shot. From beneath the waves cutting across the sky, jets roared into the air, flying straight into the heart of the alien fleet. Satellites, hacked and repurposed, fell like spears from the heavens. The Kartul were caught off guard. Their shields flared, their guns fired, but it was too late. Explosions shook the sky. One alien carrier split open, its burning pieces raining into the ocean. A second ship crumbled as pilots rammed it with their jets, sacrificing their lives to tear its hull apart. From the deserts of Africa to the forests of South America, human armies rose from hiding and struck. Guerrilla fighters ambushed patrols, tanks fired into the legs of alien walkers, and rockets tore holes into armored giants. The aliens fought back with terrible strength, but for the first time, they tasted fear. These primitives were not breaking, they were adapting, they were learning, and they were striking harder than any conquered race before. The battle raged for days. New York's skyline burned, yet from the smoke, jets rose again. In Shanghai, soldiers fought street by street, holding the line even when surrounded. In Cairo, resistance fighters climbed ruined towers to fire rockets into the skies. Everywhere, humans gave their blood. Every victory came with sacrifice. Pilots did not return. Soldiers fell in the rubble. Civilians carried ammunition until they could carry no more. But with every loss, humanity's fury only grew. The first alien commander, proud and arrogant, now shouted in desperation. His fleet was shrinking, his armies faltering. He could not believe it. His empire had conquered worlds with fleets far smaller than this. Why was Earth different? He did not understand the truth. Earth was not just fighting for survival. It was fighting for dignity, for freedom, for the right to exist without chains. And there is no weapon in the galaxy stronger than a people who refuse to kneel. At last, the skies above Earth lit with a final blaze. The flagship of the Kartul, the largest ship in the first Armada, was targeted. Dozens of missiles, hundreds of jets, and one last desperate nuclear strike all converged upon it. The explosion was so bright it turned night into day. When the smoke cleared, the flagship was gone. Only wreckage remained, falling into the sea like broken stars. Humanity had done the impossible. The first Kartul Armada, feared across the UI galaxy, had been destroyed, not by superior weapons but by courage, sacrifice, and wrath. The world was still scarred, its people still mourning, but in that moment, a spark lit across every human heart. The galaxy had called them primitive. Now the galaxy would call them something else. Dangerous. The wreckage of the first Kartul Armada drifted above Earth like broken moons. Fires still burned in ruined cities, and the ocean still carried the corpses of fallen ships. Humanity had survived, but at a terrible cost. Millions were gone. Nations mourned their dead. Families clutched photographs of those who would never return. Yet even in sorrow, there was pride. Against all odds, the so-called primitives had fought and won. The impossible had been done. For the first time, humanity looked at the stars not with fear, but with defiance. The galaxy was watching. From distant systems, countless eyes turned toward the small blue world. Some alien races whispered in awe, others trembled. The Kartul had ruled the stars for ages, undefeated, merciless, and yet Earth, young, untested, primitive, had shattered their fleet. The Galactic Council, a gathering of the oldest and most powerful civilizations, met in panic. Many demanded answers. How can this be? They are nothing. They are children with fire. Others warned, if they can do this now, what will they become tomorrow? But not all were afraid. Some pitied humanity. They have won one battle. An elder being said, but they cannot win the war. The Kartul will return, and this time Earth will be crushed. And the Kartul did return. News came from the dark edges of space. A second armada was assembling. Twice the size of the first. Dreadnoughts the size of cities. Carriers filled with legions of machines. A storm of fire greater than anything Earth had ever seen. Their commanders swore before their empire that this time there would be no mercy. The Kartul carried hatred now. They no longer saw humanity as a nuisance. They saw them as an insult, a wound to their pride that had to be erased. When the fleets finally tore through the skies and appeared in orbit, the stars themselves seemed to vanish behind their sheer size. Earth looked up once more and saw doom hanging above. But humanity did not bow. Across the world, factories roared back to life. Engineers and scientists worked without rest, turning every piece of technology into a weapon. Old rockets were rebuilt, satellites reprogrammed, warheads armed. Children helped carry supplies, farmers gave their harvests to soldiers, and entire cities became fortresses. There were no nations anymore, only Earth. Every border had dissolved. Every flag lowered, replaced with one cause: survival. Soldiers stood ready, their faces scarred but unbroken. Pilots kissed their families goodbye, knowing many would never return. Civilians volunteered, digging trenches, carrying ammunition, and building barricades. Humanity had bled, but the bleeding had not weakened them. It had hardened them. The Kartul commander, looking down upon the planet, sneered. To him, this was only another rebellion to crush. He sent a message across the skies. You resisted once. You will not resist again. We will burn your world until nothing remains but ash. But humanity had a message too. Across every frequency, in every tongue, the words were sent. We survived your first wrath. We will survive this one too. This is Earth. This is our home, and we will never surrender. The battle drums of war thundered again. Jets lined the runways, ships lurked beneath the seas, and cannons pointed to the stars. The galaxy watched in silence, waiting to see if humanity's fire would finally burn out. But deep in the hearts of every man, woman, and child on Earth, a truth had already taken root. The Kartul thought they had come to finish the war. What they had truly done was awaken something far more dangerous. They had awakened humanity's fury, and soon, the stars themselves would feel it. The second armada of the Kartul hung above Earth like a storm of shadows. Their ships blotted. Out the stars, their weapons glowed with the power to shatter continents. To many species across the galaxy, this sight meant the end. No world had ever withstood such a force. But Earth was not like other worlds. In the ruins of their broken cities, humanity rose again. People carried scars on their faces, but their eyes burned with fire. They had survived once, and they would not let their dead be forgotten. The fallen were not graves in the ground, they were reasons to fight harder. Factories never slept. Men and women worked in shifts, hammering metal, building rockets, wiring explosives. Scientists rewired satellites into weapons, created new drones from old machines, and pushed human technology far beyond what it had been before the war. What humanity lacked in alien science, it replaced with determination and creativity. Armies trained day and night. Soldiers learned to fight not as nations but as one human force. In deserts, forests, and ruined streets, they drilled with rifles, missiles, and even sharpened steel. Every person knew the truth. This was not just a war of soldiers. It was a war of everyone. Civilians carried supplies to the front lines, dug trenches, and built barricades. Farmers gave their crops freely to feed armies. Children drew signs that read, "We will not kneel." Doctors tended the wounded with steady hands, never leaving their posts even when bombs fell nearby. It was as if the fire of humanity's soul had spread into every corner of the earth. When the first wave of the second Armada struck, humanity was ready. The skies erupted with roars as jets flew in swarms, their engines screaming like angry beasts. Submarines rose from the depths, firing missiles that cut through the waves like arrows. Nuclear warheads streaked across the sky, aimed at alien dreadnoughts that hovered above like dark gods. The aliens expected chaos. They expected humans to scatter, to fight alone. Instead, they found unity. Over the Pacific Ocean, an entire fleet of human ships fought side by side, their guns blazing. In the deserts of Africa, soldiers launched wave after wave of rockets, striking alien walkers until they collapsed into fire. In Europe, resistance cells attacked alien machines behind enemy lines, planting explosives and vanishing into the ruins. Everywhere the Kartul looked, they saw resistance. No city surrendered. No army laid down its weapons. Humanity fought. With everything, jets, tanks, rifles, even their own lives. Pilots rammed into alien hulls when their ammunition was gone. Soldiers dragged wounded comrades through fire, refusing to leave anyone behind. Civilians threw Molotovs at armored giants, screaming with rage even as they fell. It was not advanced technology that terrified the Kartul. It was this unstoppable will to fight, this unity born in fire. The second Armada pressed harder. Their beams of light tore through skyscrapers. Their dreadnoughts leveled entire regions. The death toll rose higher each day. Yet the more the aliens struck, the more humanity struck back. In the ashes of New York, a squad of soldiers climbed a ruined tower and fired rockets into the belly of a carrier ship. In the frozen tundra of Siberia, hidden artillery fired until their barrels melted, bringing down alien walkers one by one. In every land, every ocean, every sky, the story was the same. Humanity refused to break. The Kartul commander sneered from his throne on the flagship. They bleed, yet they fight. They burn, yet they roar. His hands tightened. For the first time, the Empire felt unease. Because this was no longer the battle of a primitive species clinging to life. This was the wrath of a united Earth. And the longer the war burned, the clearer one truth became. Humanity would not simply survive. Humanity would make the stars remember their defiance. The war grew fiercer with each passing day. The second Kartul Armada rained fire upon Earth, determined to break the will of humanity. Cities were torn apart, oceans boiled with falling wreckage, and the ground itself shook under alien bombardments. Yet humanity did not fall. Instead, the world burned with fury. In Africa, soldiers stood in the deserts, their uniforms covered in dust and blood. Alien walkers thundered across the sand, their cannons firing beams that carved craters into the earth. But the humans fought with rockets, with tanks, with rifles. They ambushed from dunes, struck at the machines' legs, and destroyed them piece by piece. The desert swallowed alien wreckage as if the earth itself was fighting for its people. In time, Europe's cities became battlefields. Streets were filled with rubble, but resistance fighters moved through them like shadows. They planted explosives under bridges, struck alien patrols, and vanished again into the ruins. Every corner, every alley, every broken building became a weapon. The Kartul could take the land, but they could never take it whole. Across the Pacific, mighty fleets clashed. Human carriers faced alien dreadnoughts head-on. Missiles streaked across the skies, crashing into enemy hulls. Jets flew low over the waves, dodging enemy fire before striking back with everything they had. The seas burned, but humanity refused to retreat. In the frozen tundra of Siberia, artillery roared against the cold sky. Cannons pounded alien landing ships until their metal shells burst apart. Soldiers braved blizzards and fire alike, dragging wounded comrades through snow-stained red. Even the ice cracked under the fury of battle. Everywhere the fight was the same, hopeless, yet unyielding. Humanity fought not with superior weapons, but with hearts that refused to surrender. The Kartul commander grew restless. He had unleashed the largest armada his empire had ever sent against a single world, yet the humans still resisted. His fleet was shrinking. His dreadnoughts bore scars. His machines reported failure after failure. "These creatures are stubborn beyond reason," he hissed. "They are primitive, yet they fight like gods." What he did not understand was simple. Humans were not fighting for conquest, nor for pride. They were fighting for their children, their homes, their future. A mother holding her baby in a bunker prayed for soldiers at the front. A father sent his last goodbye to his family before climbing into a jet he knew would not return. Every sacrifice carried meaning. Every death carried purpose. The turning point came when the flagship of the Second Armada prepared its ultimate weapon. A massive cannon, capable of burning entire continents in one shot, began to glow. Its fire was aimed at Earth's heart. If it fired, billions would die in seconds. But humanity would not allow it. Hundreds of jets launched into the sky. Dozens of submarines rose from the depths. Rockets streaked upward like fiery arrows. They all had one target, the core of the flagship. The Khartoul unleashed their defenses, blasting jets out of the sky, sinking submarines into the deep. But humans pressed on. Pilots flew straight into enemy fire, weaving through beams of death. Submarines fired their last warheads even as alien ships tore them apart. Soldiers on the ground hacked the remains of satellites, sending them crashing into the flagship's shields. One by one, the defenses failed. One by one, humanity's weapons struck home. The flagship's core cracked, fire erupted from within. The cannon that had promised to destroy Earth instead tore its own ship apart. The explosion was so bright that for a moment, night turned into day. The shockwave shattered the formation of the alien armada. Panic spread through the Khartoul ranks. Their commander was gone, their strongest ship destroyed. Human forces struck harder, pushing them into chaos. Missiles, rockets, and even desperate ramming attacks tore through their fleet. The impossible happened again. The Second Armada, greater, stronger, deadlier than the first, was destroyed. Its ships fell into the oceans, its machines lay broken across the continents, and its pride was buried beneath Earth's wrath. The war was not without cost. Millions more had died. Cities were ash. Families wept. But humanity still stood. And in the silence that followed, one truth echoed across the galaxy. Primitive or not, humanity could not be stopped. Silence returned to the skies above Earth. The Second Khartoul Armada, once a storm that blotted out the stars, was gone. Its wreckage drifted in orbit, broken metal glowing faintly as it fell back into the atmosphere, like fire raining from the heavens. The oceans swallowed the remains of shattered carriers. Forests and mountains lay quiet again, though scarred by battle. But Earth itself still breathed. Humanity still stood. The cost was heavy. Cities lay in ruins. Millions had been buried in the rubble of their homes. Families wept together in silence, clutching photographs of loved ones who would never return. Entire landscapes had been scorched by alien fire, leaving black scars across the planet. The world was mourning, but it was also proud. Against all odds, against an empire that had crushed countless civilizations, Earth had fought not once but twice, and both times it had survived. The galaxy trembled. From distant systems, alien races spoke in whispers. Some asked in awe, how did they do it? How did a primitive race destroy two of the Khartoul's greatest armadas? Others asked in fear, if this is what they can do now, what will they become in 100 years? The Galactic Council met once more. Ancient leaders, who had watched empires rise and fall for thousands of years, sat in silence. They could not ignore Earth any longer. Humanity was no longer a small voice on a small world. It was a storm, a force that could not be dismissed. Some argued that Earth must be left alone. They are dangerous. To strike them again is madness. Others argued for alliances. If they can defeat the Khartoul, perhaps they can stand with us. But one thing all agreed upon, Earth was no longer primitive. Earth was a power. On the ground, Humanity buried its dead with honor. Soldiers were laid to rest with flags draped over their bodies. Pilots who never returned were remembered as heroes. Civilians who fought with bare hands against armored machines were named legends, and in the midst of mourning, hope burned. Survivors rebuilt homes with their own hands. Children painted stars on broken walls, dreaming of a future where Earth would no longer fear what came from the sky. Scientists looked at alien wreckage not with despair, but with determination. Humanity had fought with primitive weapons and still won. What could it do with new knowledge, with new technology? The answer frightened the galaxy. At last, humanity sent a message. Not just to the Cartool, but to all who watched. It was broadcast through captured alien frequencies, through satellites, through every channel that could carry words across the stars. It was simple. We are not prey. We are not slaves. We are not primitive. We are human. Twice you came to break us, and twice you fell. Come again if you dare, and you will fall once more. The message spread across the stars like fire. Worlds enslaved by the Cartool whispered those words with hope. Empires that once laughed at Earth grew silent. The Council listened with unease. And even the Cartool, once so arrogant, now hesitated. On Earth, survivors lifted their heads to the sky. The war had left them scarred, but not broken. They had lost much, but they had gained something greater: unity. No longer divided by borders or flags, humanity stood together as one people, stronger than ever before. The ruins of alien ships drifting above the planet were not just reminders of war. They were monuments. Proof that when humanity is pushed to the edge, it does not break. It fights back. Primitive? No. Humanity was wrath itself, and now the galaxy would never forget.